Around 1 in 5 American Jews have faced anti-Semitism in person. But usually this kind of hate takes the form of an insult or vandalism, or maybe an offhanded comment made out of ignorance. It's easy to think, well, there's hate everywhere, right? People are prejudiced against all sorts of races and religions, and so many of us get complacent. That changed in 2018 after a white supremacist murdered 11 Jews at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. Suddenly, life didn't feel as safe anymore. Of course, American Jews have been victims of violent attacks before, but this was a whole new scale. It was the deadliest attack on Jewish people in America's history. It also marked a turning point in anti-Semitism in the United States. In 2015, there were fewer than 1,000 reports of anti-Semitism. In 2019, that number spiked to more than 2,000, with at least 3 violent, high-profile stories.
4 men allegedly opened fire at a synagogue in Poway.
Armed and storming into that kosher.
This was an act of anti-Semitic hate.
Today, about 2/3 of Jews feel less safe than they did a decade ago. The threat of physical violence has never felt more real. This brings American Jews closer to how Jews feel worldwide. The truth is, despite this frightening reality, the U.S. is still safer for Jews than most other countries. Looking at where Jews can't live safely shows just how much work is still needed to stamp out anti-Semitism. According to the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League's global study, only 10% of Americans harbor anti-Semitic beliefs. Yeah, so 10% isn't great. But compared to Spain, Brazil, Colombia, and basically everywhere in the Middle East, it's actually one of the lowest rankings out there. According to the ADL's findings, more than 1 billion people believe something anti-Semitic. Most of them probably haven't even met a Jew. But it's still proof that harmful stereotypes about Jews and money, loyalty, or secret plans for world domination are taken seriously all over the world. The prevalence of these stereotypes makes Jews susceptible to vile conspiracy theories and often turns Jews into scapegoats. In the United States, violent anti-Semitism often hurts visible Jews.
I'm screaming, help, help, help. And he says, you don't need help. We're going to kill you right here.
The Orthodox, or those who go to synagogue and kosher supermarkets, or join Jewish groups on campus. That doesn't mean non-observant Jews are safe. It just means anti-Semites don't know who they are. It's even worse in Europe. The rise of European nationalism, xenophobia, and anti-Israel movements have sparked renewed violent anti-Semitism. 89% of European Jews feel anti-Semitism has gotten worse in the last decade. Recently, the German government even warned Jews to not wear kippahs in public, which, frankly, many Jews across the continent worried about anyway. Europe has another problem: political anti-Semitism. While there are definitely American politicians and activists who are anti-Semitic and anti-Israel, at least they're in the minority. Unlike Britain's Labour Party, which has for years struggled with outright anti-Semites within their ranks. And in countries like Hungary, Poland, and Lithuania, politicians have frequently denied their country's role in the Holocaust. This isn't exactly violent anti-Semitism, but when national governments start rewriting history to downplay their role in the worst genocide in modern history, you can understand why Jews aren't feeling safe. Across Asia and Africa, anti-Semitic stereotypes about Jews are taken as truth. That can make it pretty scary to live as a Jew, which is why so many international Jewish communities have shrunk over the decades. Take Iran as an example. As many as 80,000 Persian Jews lived in peace in Iran before the creation of Israel, and later the Iranian Revolution. Now, fewer than 10,000 remain in the country. But it's precisely because these countries' Jewish populations are so small that their remaining Jewish communities often live in fear. In the last 20 years, terrorists have targeted Jewish centers in Tunisia and Casablanca and a Chabad in Mumbai. In Yemen, Houthi rebels have been staging an ethnic cleansing of the country's few remaining Jews by assaulting them and pressuring them to leave the country. Again, these numbers are relatively small. Most of Yemen's Jews already left the country. So have most of Tunisia's and Morocco's, and more than 1 million Jews from Russia, Romania, Ethiopia, Iraq, Iran, and anywhere else they felt unsafe. They flocked to the one country that would actually take them in: Israel. Of course, Israelis face the threat of violence every day. But the danger threatening Israeli Jews is also more existential. Several governments and organizations would love to see the full-on destruction of the State of Israel. The leaders of Iran, Hamas, and Hezbollah in Lebanon are undeniable threats to the country. These threats even reach back to North America. Israel is antagonized across Western campuses by supporters of the BDS movement. Prominent BDS leaders don't just protest the Israeli government, they believe Israel shouldn't exist at all. But if Israel collapsed, that would mean the disappearance of the world's only Jewish nation. The BDS argument doesn't address the long history of Jewish persecution or the obvious needs for a Jewish state. Jewish security wasn't just a concern after the Holocaust. As we've shown, even today, Jews need a homeland that will protect their rights and freedoms. A lot of people will say that the world is safer now, less bigoted and more peaceful than ever before, and in some ways it is. But it's undeniable that anti-Semitism is still a palpable threat everywhere, even in countries where Jews are supposed to feel safest. As long as Jews still live in fear, we can't move on. We can't ignore what's happening. We can't stop calling out the threats that Jews face around the world. We have to keep fighting for our right to live in peace. Calling out anti-Semitism is fundamental to living a Jewish life. If we don't, normalized anti-Semitic beliefs will keep permeating our society, erasing the realities of Jewish persecution and silencing our dissent. In order to make the world a truly safe and equitable place, hatred in all its forms has to be called out and prevented, so Jews, like all marginalized peoples, can live free of the threat of violence. Thanks for watching. This is one part of a series on topics that are central tenets of Judaism. If you'd like to see the rest, please check out the full playlist here, and don't forget to subscribe to keep getting notified of new videos.